Welcome to Riz Extra, which is exclusively for the Al Jazeera website. Today we're talking to John Bolton, the interim U.S. ambassador to the United Nations in 2005 and 2006. Before that, he served as Under Secretary of State for Arms Control and International Security in the Bush administration. Ambassador, Barack Obama, the Democrat presidential hopeful, has said that he'd be prepared to speak to leaders of countries hostile to the U.S., perceived as hostile at least, such as Cuba and Iran. And I wonder if is that something that you feel could work with North Korea?
I don't think so. I mean, negotiation is not a policy. Negotiation is a technique, and you use it when it's in your interest to use it. Like all techniques, like all human action, it has its costs and its benefits. In the case of proliferators, time is almost always on their side, and the time consumed in negotiation is a factor that works in their favor. So too is the legitimacy that conferring with Kim Jong-il as an equal would afford. It was bad enough when Madeleine Albright went to Pyongyang and clinked champagne glasses with him in 2000. To have the president do it, I think, would be a real mistake.
Now, as we look to the change in the White House that's coming up at the end of the year, what you served with the Bush administration, what do you think the Bush administration legacy, and perhaps President Bush himself, what sort of legacy will be left behind?
Well, I think his response to September the 11th will be the dominant theme of historians' review of the administration. I think they will see mixed results in some circumstances, but I don't think you can underestimate the importance of the president's leadership in the days and weeks after 9/11, and I think that will be the dominant theme.
Does it bother you that 8 years on, the U.S. image internationally is definitely perceived as very negative compared with before?
Well, I'm not that concerned about it, frankly. I've seen public opinion polls from France in the early 1950s at the height of Marshall Plan aid and after the liberation from the Nazis, and America wasn't held in very high regard then. I don't think an American president should conduct foreign policy based on American public opinion polls, let alone polls in the rest of the world.
What about John McCain as a potential leader? What sort of legacy would he continue? Would he continue with the Bush sort of legacy?
Well, I think he's got the knowledge and experience in his personal life and from his government service to be a strong commander-in-chief. I think that's what we need in a world with a lot of challenges remaining. I think he would not need on-the-job training when he became president. And I think the conceptual gulf between him and Senator Obama on foreign policy is enormous. So you can't stress enough the importance of the decision that the U.S. voters will make this November.
That's what I was wondering is, what should the next U.S. president do differently when it comes to foreign policy?
Well, I think you have to have a broader view now, 7 years after September the 11th. It's a big world. There are a lot of issues caused by rising China, the reemergence of Russia, the role India will play. I don't think you can forget the threat of terrorism, but these other issues are out there and need to be attended to.
You mentioned China. Do you see China as an economic threat, something the U.S. has to address?
I don't think we know what the future of China will be. We hope for the peaceful rise of China. We hope that it will be well integrated into the economic system, but there are still powerful forces in China that harken back to the use of military force. I think the future is uncertain, but that's another important task for the next U.S. president.
Now, you yourself have been associated with neoconservative groups such as the Projects for a New American Century. Now, I know you reject the term yourself, but when it comes to the ideas, to what extent do you feel those might have been discredited by the foreign policy outcomes of places like Iran and Afghanistan?
No, I don't think they've been discredited at all. I mean, I think the basis of American foreign policy has to be the protection and advancement of American interests. I think that makes it the same as everybody else's foreign policy. I do think when the United States looks at what contribution it can make, for example, after World War II, helping to reinvigorate democratic institutions in the occupied countries was a major American legacy. I don't know what other kind of regime America would propound around the world.
Well, Ambassador Bolton, thank you very much for talking with us for our Riz Extra for AlJazeera.net.
Glad to do it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for watching. We were speaking with John Bolton, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Join us for more Riz Extras on AlJazeera.net. We'll see you next time.